You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, I've already had confirmation that the introduction that Maxine Nightingale sings, the introduction to our podcast, You Cannot Be Serious, our guest was jigging in time to it, Don. It meant that it, what? Bopping in time to the music. So you're the only person that doesn't like the introduction. And I've got a feeling you don't like it because I thought of it and it wasn't your idea. Anyhow, so our guest today, Don, is a remarkable person for a number of reasons. He might be embarrassed me saying that, but it doesn't matter. We don't care if we embarrass him. You said to me when I suggested, does anyone know how the draft works in AFL football? We have no idea. We should know because we are all members of the AFL Hall of Fame, Donald, and we've played 300 games, all of us. But we have no fucking idea how the draft works. So you said, why don't we get this person in? And I said, what a great idea. So
You're a bullshit artist. You are full of shit.
What did you say?
Extraordinary response to, I said, what a great idea. Why didn't I?
If he's Catholic, he'd be in the confession box, wouldn't he?
So why didn't I?
What did he say wrong?
Oh, he lies. He's a liar.
So why didn't I think it was a great idea? Why would he?
How would I know how your brain works?
So Don, please. What you do is when we get a guest in, you make sure that you make them feel uncomfortable, or you say, I don't know why we're speaking to you, mate, but anyhow, welcome. Why did you say that's bullshit, what I said, what a great idea? Why would he be sitting here if I didn't think it was a good idea?
That's right, because I've got no... you don't even listen to my contribution to the show. It's your show.
At this stage, I'm not sure if he's going to stay here for much longer. He cannot believe, he's just looked at his watch, he cannot believe why he's come in, because normally we would be underway by now. But so I'm telling you now, Don, it's a great idea we got him in, or you asked him, and he is a remarkable person, because you will well know why he's a remarkable person. So when we introduce people, I go through the Wikipedia. I go through.
Why don't you just speak?
I go through the Wikipedia because I like to find out just what.
But you should, as a sporting commentator, know all this.
So I should know this about our guest, should
yes.
I? What should I know? Should I have known he played 236?
Yes. You wore number 40. What else would you like to know? Comes from Wikiproof.
Shut up, Donald. Would I have known he played 236 games for Richmond? I might have thought he played 230, but he played 236. He played in the 1973, 74 and 80 premiership sides for Richmond. He received not one vote in the first 10 years of his career, not one Brownlow medal vote, but is still regarded as one of the great Richmond players. He has coached in South Australia, he has coached in Victoria, the VFA, and he has had...
And the amateurs, as well as the under-18 competition.
Yeah, so...
Hasn't Wikipedia caught up with what he's done?
I hadn't finished reading all that out, Donald. So how would I have known about that summon unless I checked? And off the field, he has been part of some personal tragedy, which is not the reason we got him in here, but... you never know, we might ask him how he's coping with all that. But the reason we got him in is to try and explain the AFL draft to us, and he is the great Merv Keane. I think it's Keane. You call yourself Kane or Keane?
Kane.
Mervyn Keane. Mervyn.
We're Irish. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Is that Bog Irish or just Irish?
No, we're Killarney, wherever that is. I haven't been there. But I did have the motor running, and I've just gone outside and turned it off. I'm starting to relax. You're starting to relax me, Sammy?
Well,
not yet, Donny,
that introduction, of course. That's not normally how we go, Merv. Don interrupts and makes, as I say, we had someone in here. I tell you, we had Brian Mannix in here one day from Uncanny X-Men, and I sat down and said, welcome, Brian. So this is Don Scott, and Don said, I'm not sure why you're in, Brian. I know nothing about you. And that made him feel at ease. That made him feel
Why can't we get
why can't we get someone? So that made him feel really, really, really comfortable. So he's gone soft on you. He's gone easy on you. So Merv.
Morning, Sam.
Do you know, have we got you under here under false pretenses, do you know how the AFL draft works? Because I would venture to say the very great majority of football fans have no idea what the mechanics of it are, and why would you know?
Well, we'll soon find out, Sammy.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to just start?
No, well, I want to say.
done.
So, what is the pecking order for the pecking order for
Gotcha.
sides to get the first priority picks once a season is over? Is it where you finish on the ladder, or where you finished over the last 5 years, the mean average of how does it work?
No. Well, we'll try and start at the beginning
And keep it simple.
Yeah. So, the secret to recruiting is try and pick the best player when it's your turn. I think we might lose sight of that sort of stuff.
Don't tell us the bleeding obvious.
No,
Merv.
but I mean,
Tell us
I
something
think we
don't
do
know.
lose sight of this sort of stuff. So the worst side in the comp gets number one pick. Yeah.
You're going to have to put up with these really...
Of course.
dumb
But I think that's where we'll start. That's where we'll start that.
So you're going to have to put up with these dumb... So the worst side in the comp gets the number one pick.
Correct.
Who ranks who is the number one pick? How do you know who's the number one pick?
Righto. Well, that's then becomes just like footy, and it's an opinion. It's your opinion, or it's your
Based
footy
on
club.
whose information?
Based on, let's say, recruiting officer's opinion.
I see.
So there might
they
be
all
three or
sit
four.
round.
Yep, 3 or 4 recruiting officers at each club, and we watch these guys, and we might watch the, the top 10 guys at least half a dozen, maybe 6, 8, 10 times in the 1 year, and we've watched them for 2 or 3 years leading up to their draft year. And then it finally decided, or someone has to make a decision.
So Merv, so you say there's about 4 from each club. There's 18 clubs, 4 8, so that's 78, 80 odd people, is it, or whatever that is?
Correct.
You're telling me 80 odd people recruiting agents sit down in a big room and decide who between them is the number one pick. Is that how it works?
No, Sam. It's each club. We do it secretly. We're behind closed doors.
Right.
So I worked at the Bombers for 12 years in recruiting.
I know that.
Yep. And so we would secretly, within the 4 walls of our club, decide who's the best player, or what's the order of merit is. So we would rank players from 1 to 50 to 70 or something like that. 1 to 50, 1 to 100. We might do that.
And every
in our opinion,
club individually does that secretly.
Yes. Something similar. They might have different systems. They might rank them according to position or height or weight or speed or whatever.
They arrive at it no matter how
they arrive at it.
They come up with a pecking list.
A pecking list.
Yep.
It will surely move. You'd also take into consideration what your club required.
Yeah, we would. You do that. So it's a combination then, Donnie, of saying, well, who is the best player? And you might say that's player X. Which player do we need, or what position do we need to fill the most? And that might be then, well, we think that's player Y. So then again, it gets back to the club to say, well, which one do we want? Do we physically want the best player that we think's out there, or do we want the best one? We might be looking for a centre half back.
Good answer.
He may be the 5th best player on our list, but we need him. We've identified that we need to fill that position.
Yeah. So if you have a great ruckman and that is generally accepted as the best player in the competition, say, no, we've got plenty of ruckmen, we want someone else to fill
That's
that
it.
line. Yes, right.
That's it, Sammy. How are we going?
So
are we going all right?
What's that?
Are we going okay?
You and I?
With the explanation.
Well, I like you called him Donny. I've never heard anyone call him Donny in my life, but if you want to call him Donny, go right ahead.
That's a country term.
You're a country person. And I got half that word right. Merv, I'll call you. Mervyn, you must have struggled with that name.
Merv, called Mervyn by my family.
I know that.
Sammy.
You must have struggled with that name early.
Yeah, I did.
Early, yeah.
You can fight, Merv.
Cyril and Mervyn, yeah. Mervyn.
It's coming back. It's coming back into fashion.
It is too. I like calling you Mervyn anyhow, Mervyn. So Mervyn.
I'll call you John.
So at some, yeah, that's fine. That's my name. At some stage, Mervyn. At some stage, we've just gone through the draft process. The league, the AFL, designate a time when all these people gather to do a bit of a cattle list of culling out who you want.
Yep.
And you sit down and then you look at all the opposition's draft listed in priority lists, and you then start to pick the eyes out of them. Is that how it works?
The opposition? What do you mean by the opposition, Sammy?
Well, it's the opposition
AFL teams.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they got their list. So
Well, that's for the opposition, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, but we don't. Well, why are we fussed about them? We try and get what we need, or.
But you said secretly you pick out your best players,
Yep.
and the other sides, the opposition
Pick out
sides,
theirs.
pick out their best players, and then aren't they presented to you, and you go through them and scan them to see who you can do a deal with? Isn't that how it works?
Well, you can. So, like this year, can we use Essendon for example?
Now, which draft are we talking about, the trade or the national draft?
Well, do you want to go start with the national draft? Or
I tell you what, Mervyn.
Yes, mate.
Don
Do you want
and
to
I are
start
gonna
again?
Sit here. Don and I are going to sit here. I'm being serious because we're confusing you. You obviously know we know nothing about it. Just tell us how sides pick the people they want and
Okay.
how they barter and trade and all that.
All right. Well, it is pretty complicated, but we'll try and simplify. But just let's do, because I know Essendon, but I've been out of the caper for 2 years. So I don't know who the actual players are.
Well, get on with it.
I'm sorry. Essendon have picked 6, 7 and 8 this year, which they acquired. Do I go back into that depth? They got pick 6 because that's where they finished on the ladder.
Right.
Pick 7 they got for, I call him Sir Joseph Danaher.
Right.
That was
That
negotiated.
That comes from Brisbane's first pick.
Yeah,
is
that's
it?
Brisbane's first. Oh, no, that comes because the decision's made. Joey is regarded or rated as a top-line player, so as compensation to Essendon for losing Joe, we get...
Who determines
The AFL determines that.
The AFL
Determines that Joe is a talented player. So we, under AFL...
Can I ask a question here?
Well,
Who
we said we were
determines
gonna-
that he hasn't played for 3 years or 2 years because of injury? So who says he's worth that?
There's a bit to do with how much Brisbane are paying him. So if he's paid $1 million
Yes.
by Brisbane, then they obviously determine he's a good player. So
Wow.
so we're entitled then to get the next pick after our first pick, if that makes sense.
No.
Our
No,
first
it doesn't
pick,
make sense,
No, it's
Merv.
not. You don't make sense, Merv.
Right.
This is so. It is so complicated for the layman, which is me and Don. It is so that you're working out in what priority do you try and give us the information that we'll understand. I
Yes.
do not understand one bit of what you said there, not because it's your fault, because I just have no idea. Don said, did the league decide that Joe Danaher's a top player? And then you said, oh, well, it does on the money that the
That's
Brisbane
part of it, yeah.
Lions wanted to pay.
You can
him.
understand that bit though, can't you?
What's that?
If he's paid a big salary at Brisbane, then he
Yes.
must be a
But,
valuable
mate,
player.
Okay, but why would Brisbane pay him that amount of
'Cause
money?
they want him.
But just hang on, John. He hasn't performed for 2 years. His first
Well,
game
it's
back
3,
was
Don. It's 3.
3 years.
Well,
His
that's-
first game back this year was good.
But it's a calculated-
Just will you be quiet? His first game against Hawthorn was good this year. Then he went missing again.
Correct.
It's a calculated perception.
So they're going to
that-
pay him 900,000.
No, I'm just making those numbers up,
Okay.
Donny. They're
Righto.
obviously paying him well for
Right.
him to be...
They think they've
Sorry?
taken a gamble that he will come good and be
Hang
good
on,
for them.
Rod's saying something.
He will come good.
He will come good.
He will come good.
That's subjective, though, Merv.
No, it's factual.
Why would he come good, Merv?
Because I think he's changed club. He's got a different attitude. He'll change attitude. He'll go into a really good culture, as I think we could all agree that Brisbane's got a beautiful culture going there right now. They're well coached, well drilled, well disciplined, all that sort of thing. And Joe is that sort of player that needs... I think he needs a short lead around him so that he
A
can't...
short lead, what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, when you got your dog, you have a short
Yes.
lead on your dog, so you sort of
Leash.
train him up pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, and
Short
he
leash.
lead. So he
Leash.
quickly learns what to do, how to go about it, and, you know, how to toe the line.
Yeah.
So I think
So,
that's. I think
out
that's.
of this has come two things.
Yeah.
One is, I think there must be a mental weakness with Joe Danaher that he couldn't perform,
Well,
and he takes that with him. And secondly, Essendon mustn't have been much of a club, or is much of a club, if they couldn't.
Well, he wanted to change. He needed to change.
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't spoken to Joe.
Dangerfield.
I haven't spoken to Joe.
Understand.
like
but the signs.
Dangerfield came from Adelaide, like plenty of people like Jeremy Cameron wants to go to Geelong, they want to change. Oh, sorry about that.
But Dangerfield was performing right up to
It's not the point. I'm just making...
Cameron didn't perform last year.
Mervyn,
Yes,
in the
John.
5 minutes we've been doing this, what are the impressions of sitting there trying to explain this to two people?
I don't know. I'm thinking
who
it's
look like
either me
Oxford
or it's
Wood.
you guys.
Well, it's us.
Oh,
Don't worry.
okay.
I'm happy to say it's us. But
So-
No, I think we're making progress, Sam.
well, keep going.
Apart from you're saying, well, who makes a decision about how is Joe worth pick
Yep.
7?
Now,
well,
I understand now you say that if they're paying him 900 grand, someone must think he's good.
yeah, exactly. And I think at AFL they make the decision. As you would know, there's a lot of glass offices
Yes.
at AFL House, so they've got to sit there and
Glass offices, yep. A lot
Yep.
of people just filling in spaces there.
make up. Well, they've got to make up rules and
Yep, right.
try and run a good competition. So I think that explains Joe that he's
Right.
pick 7.
Pick 7, right? So this is Essendon where they got 6
This
and
is
7.
just the only way I can try and keep it
going,
simple.
yep.
I don't clarify myself as a particularly wonderful expert at this, by the way, but we'll try and get
Erudite.
that.
Yeah.
Erudite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Merv's an author.
I'm an author,
know,
Sam.
I know all that. I found that by looking up the Wikipedia.
Yeah,
You
but
said-
you should know these things.
Sam, by the
so I
way,
should know Merv's an author, should I?
Yes, if
And he
you had an
wrote
interest in
about- I
anyone
know
else
what I know
besides
who he
yourself.
wrote- What?
If
Don?
you had an interest besides yourself, you'd know all this stuff.
If I had an interest...
Interest besides yourself. Your interest is you.
My interest was looking up Mervyn Keane and
But I
his-
know I don't have to look at Wikipedia to know he's an author.
Well, then you introduce him next time.
Okay, thank you, I
You've
will.
never introduced anyone since we've
Because
been doing
it's your
this.
show.
Shut up, Merv.
Sam,
Sorry about that. It's like
Sam?
domestic. It's like a domestic argument between husband and wife, or a husband and husband, Mr. and Mr. Joyce, for example. So go ahead.
Do you think
By the way,
do you
Sam-
think they
Shut
have
up, Don.
arguments, Mr. and Mrs.
Shut
Joyce?
up.
Sam,
He's going to leave. I tell you. He's going to leave.
I've got my chauffeur out there. I'll tell you what, he's listening. Sam,
Yes, yes.
238 games, by the way.
Well, I'm going to check the Wikipedia in a minute, mate. I will. It said 236 unless I read it incorrectly. Go ahead.
Okay, so the Joe pick 7 for Joe, and now Essendon has already also got pick 8.
Right.
Is that all right? Is it okay to just keep this going or not?
Yeah, no, I'm interested. So how do they get pick
And we
8?
got that because of Adam Sard. Now, we negotiated, if I can say we, Essendon, to make the deal
With Carlton.
Adam Sard
With Carlton.
with Carlton.
You
So they offered pick 8, or they gave Essendon pick 8.
When I said you were erudite, you looked at me querulously. You looked at me as though I was a fuckwit. Erudite, characterised by great knowledge, learned or scholarly information. I said you were erudite. That was the
That's
correct
why I
word.
queried it.
What's what?
That's why I queried.
He didn't know what it meant. That's why you queried it. Go ahead. What was the other word you just used then?
Well, the one you used.
No, go on. What?
I thought you used one I didn't understand.
Querulous means
yeah.
querying. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, no, I'm looking up your Wikipedia. Go ahead.
What did I say about Adam Sard,
You
Sam?
said
Sam, what did I say about Adam Sard? So he,
see, you're not even listening. You
Because I was checking the Wikipedia
All right.
to see the
So
number
I've
of
thrown
games
you off,
they had
sorry.
in there about you. Go ahead.
so we, meeting Essendon, negotiated the loss of Adam Sard because he wanted to go to Carlton. So we got pick 8.
hang on.
for
Can I
Sardi.
ask a question there?
How long is this?
Hang on. I'd like. Why does the AFL? Why didn't they get involved in the Adam Sard thing if they got involved in the Danaher thing?
You're gonna regret
Why?
coming in.
I think I've got the answer to that, Sam, because
Don?
because there was that option with Joe to just do a straight deal that the AFL had set in place,
Hang on.
that he was a free agent or restricted free agent, one of the two. I'm not quite sure. It's a free agent, so that's what you get when
You're a free
players,
agent.
That's the return you get when good players then want to be traded.
So Adam Sard's not a free agent?
Well, he's not a free agent, no, but he was out of contract. So Carlton wanted him. Carlton. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm making a mess of this.
No, you're
Don.
not making a mess of it. This is why we don't.
Wikipedia,
I don't understand.
I've read that incorrectly. It does say you played 238 games. That was my error. I apologise. No good reading someone's stats out if you get them wrong. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mervyn.
Apology accepted.
Thank you, Mervyn.
I don't know how we arrived. I don't know how. And what other than what I've just explained about.
This could be our best segment ever.
Pick
We've been doing
7
this for a year.
for Sir
and at
Joseph.
the end of it, people will say, "Did you listen to this conversation about one man trying to speak to two fuckwits about how the AFL draft works?" Go ahead again, Mervyn, please.
So pick 7 for Joseph and pick
Joseph
8.
who? Oh, Danaher. Oh, I thought you were talking about Joseph, the bloody biblical person.
Ron Joseph.
No, Joseph is Technicolor
Starlet.
Dreamcoat.
Pick 8 for Adam
Yeah, Sard.
Sard.
Yes.
All right, that's done. Deal's done. That's it.
Now, Merv. So Essendon have got 3 picks in the first round.
Yep, in the top 10.
Top 10. Now, Merv, if the draft is no good...
Mervyn, Sam. I mean, Don.
Not Mervyn. What did I call you? Merv. Well,
one's calling me Merv, one's calling me Mervyn. Like,
have a look at these clowns. When you listen to what...
10.
Yeah.
Why do Essendon get 3 picks in the top 10?
I'm going to have to take it slower, Sammy.
Okay.
We got pick 6
Pick
because
6, yes.
SIX.
Yeah.
Because
Or V1 for Romans.
yeah, because we finished 13th.
Yes.
Right.
We got pick 7 because we lost Sir Joseph,
Yes, 2. Right.
and that was compensation for losing Joe.
Yes.
We get pick 8 because we negotiated a deal with Carlton to lose Adam Sard, or they gave us pick 8. That was their pick. They had pick 8,
Right.
so they gave us pick 8.
Right.
There he is.
Okay, now if the draft, Merv...
Sammy, just put a tick beside that. You understand that?
Yes, Mervyn. And that goes on between the other 18 clubs, those intricate negotiations.
Negotiations, yep.
Okay, Merv, now if the draft is of no value this year, what is the point of Essendon having the top 3 picks in the draft? If the quality of the draft is not what it has been, for example.
Good point.
Good point.
Well, that's where we're at, and that's where we're at. Like, we lose these players, so we try and do the best we can. They may be better. They could be better. Like Joe, for example, was taken with pick 10, so we got pick 7 for him. Though, fingers crossed, we'll get a better
What
player.
are you talking about? He's taken a pick 10.
When we took Joe,
But he was father and son, surely.
well, we had to spend a draft choice on him. That was pick 10. And then you go back another step. So the Bulldogs bid for Joe at pick 7. The Bulldogs Port Adelaide, my apology. Port Adelaide bid for Joe at pick 7. So we had to match that bid. So we had to surrender pick 10.
When he was originally drafted.
Yes, when he was originally. So
Wow.
it cost us pick 10. And now we've got pick 7 for him. So technically,
You've improved
we've
3
got a better
spots.
player,
Yeah.
which is going to be hard to do with Joe in
Exactly.
full flight. Would you agree with that, Sam?
Exactly.
Oh, don't.
You agreeing with me, Sam, on that one?
Merv,
Yes, mate.
other than getting your name right at the start of this, I haven't understood one thing that you have said, and this is not
It is.
your
I
fault.
feel.
This is
I
not
feel
your-
as if it's personal.
Mervyn. Rocket Rod here, who started. Do you know who Rocket Rod is? Rocket Rod started off Fox Sports. He is.
I know. I've done my Wikipedia.
Anyhow, he just said. That's what we were whispering about. He said, "Have a crack at this." He said, "See if you can explain this to Don and I." Ask him about free agency and restricted free agency. But I'll put that on notice. A question on notice. You go ahead with the explanation about whatever you're explaining.
So we agree we've got pick 7 for Joe. So we may do better. We may do better. Which I think at Joey's best, that's going to be hard.
Yep.
And if he's not going to play again, well, we might end up in front.
Merv, you really won't know, will you, for maybe 3-4 years for this or these players or this particular player to mature. So you really don't know. It's an unknown quantity what you're doing at this national draft.
Yes, it is, of course. You know, like there's only about 30 to 35 players are successful every year from the draft. And when I say successful, I'm talking about players play.
How many go in it generally?
Well, generally you might end up with about 80 players drafted per year, of which 30 to 35 are what you call successful AFL players. Yep. And by successful, I mean play 50 games, which is, that's probably not really successful. You know, you'd like to pick a player and he plays 100 games or 200 games. That'd be ideal. That doesn't happen very often, as you know. So it's hard to find a player.
So we're using Essendon as an example. When would their next pick be if they've had 3 picks in the top 10?
Right. Well, that would be with your second round pick. So every club gets a pick. Every club gets a pick every round. So you go through 18 clubs. That's 18 picks.
Yeah.
18 clubs, you know, in a pure sense of the draft,
so
18 clubs, 18 picks. So your next pick is in order. If you finished, again, 13th, then you're another 6 picks after pick number 18.
24.
Yeah. So normally your next pick would be 24.
And so these are... Yeah, so they're in a very good position, aren't they? Because when you get down to player 24, obviously he's not as good as the players in the top 10.
That's the way it should be, yeah. Sometimes obviously pick, 24, like Tim Kelly was picked 24.
Who went to Geelong?
Yeah.
Really?
So he was a good selection of that.
Yes,
at that pick.
But he was a mature age.
But no one expected him. Like everyone understood he was going to be a good player at that stage. A lot of clubs were probably hedging their bets, holding off a bit. Thought, we'll get him with a third round pick or a fourth round pick.
Why wouldn't he go as number 1 in the first round?
Well, in hindsight, of course, he would have gone top 1, 2 or 3. Wouldn't he? Even though he was 23 at the time. I think most clubs have had their chance again.
This will lead me to another question later on. Okay, so this is the national draft. Are you clear with that?
No.
Oh, well, I am.
Well, national draft as opposed to what other draft?
This is the one in December that's coming up. We've got trade. What I'm confused about is trade, and I'd like to ask you questions about... Now, hang on. They're the only 2 drafts, aren't they? Trade.
We've got pre-season draft. And then you've got mid-season draft.
Murph, thanks very much for coming in. Now, look, what's the rest of your plans for this year? Fucking hell. Does people's employment, recruiting officers' employment and their tenure of office depend on who they pick and how successful those players are, and they either keep their job or they lose their job on the success of the club or the people they pick? Is that generally how it works, or is that unfair dismissal?
No, I think it would have to be based on performance, and that's your job is to perform at the draft. Absolutely. Or pick the right players.
And if you pick people who turn out to be duds and the fans shout, "Why did we pick him?" The axe falls on the people.
Get rid of him. Get rid of Mervyn.
The buck stops with Mervyn.
Yeah.
Okay, Merv, to shore up your position, now I'll ask this question.
Yep.
The draft age is 18.
Yep.
Now, I went through the under-19 system. I started as an under-19 player.
We all did. Apart,
No, I
apart from
I
Sammy.
came straight from school into the senior
bugger
team,
lugs over here.
Mervyn.
He's gifted with a silver spoon.
I was about to sort of, but he jumped in ahead of me. Yeah.
So we're a little bit different. Did you play in the under-9s, Merv?
Of course not.
Okay. Now, Merv, you would notice
Donnie's
when you were
He was
playing...
24 when he played in the under-19s. He was a mature age person.
Actually, Tony Jewell, your mate, told me that one day when I wasn't going through a good patch. I was 24 at the time. He said, "Now listen, Merv, you go and train with the under-19s tonight." I thought that was a bad sign, wasn't it? Anyway,
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah,
He was a lunatic as a coach.
pretty much.
You
No, he's
were
a
in the
great
room
coach.
when he... What great coach.
Great coach. My
Well,
best coach.
What about the furniture he threw around the South Melbourne change rooms that day?
Well, they were like the frisbees just going through the air.
But that wouldn't have been strange for you to be going down to the under-19s. You trained with the wrong club at one stage, didn't you? You turned up at the wrong venue, didn't
Were
you?
you drunk or on weed that day?
Well,
I
how
mean,
did
you were
turn it-
17 from Witchy
I
Proof.
was 17 from Witchy Proof. Like,
Yeah, were
give a
you
bloke-
growing your stuff in the middle of the paddock?
Well, it was
The
a little.
green
Yeah, we
stuff.
had a little patch there. Yes, we did.
And so you got stuck into it the day before you went to training.
Yeah.
You know, Rod, do you know
I
he
used
turned
to
up
bring
to
you
Melbourne
down a packet.
training? Did you know that?
I've just asked, Don, are your ears painted on?
No,
I just asked him that. I just said you turned up to train
Train with the
at
wrong
Melbourne
club.
at the wrong.
Train
you
with
said,
Melbourne.
Do you realise that he turned up to train at Melbourne at the wrong club? I said, I just fucking asked him that. You got to listen to me, man. You're insulting our guest.
I want to
That's
know
right.
whether you were high or drunk.
Well, exactly. We had a little patch there on the farm.
Yeah, Don.
Hey, did everybody in Witchy Proof smoke that stuff?
Oh.
Because the train runs down the middle of the main road. Why isn't it out by itself instead of down the main road?
Well, I think they had the railway line and then they built the town around it.
It's the only place in
Well-
Australia that's got the railway line
Well,
down
No,
the
it's
main
not.
street.
No, the railway line runs through the middle of the Grange golf course in Adelaide.
Yeah.
You got to wait for the train to go through before you can play a 9-iron to the green.
Cop that one.
I will.
What about the tram runs down the middle of Burke Street?
Good point, Mervyn. Well done.
Shit, you're sharp,
That's
Merv.
right. They had the tram there, and then they built the city around it, Don.
Like
You
Witchy
reckon?
Proof.
Anyway, where do we want to go? Draft, train with the wrong club, or
No, okay, now, Merv,
yes,
getting back to the draft.
yes, mate.
It's based on the American model.
Oh, I don't
No,
want to go down
please,
there.
Merv.
Yeah.
Do you think we've complicated? Do you think we should just have one draft?
Well, I come in here trying to simplify it.
Yep.
I think I am in my own little head.
You are.
I'm doing a good job,
Yes.
but there's not much traction
There
going on.
is. I'm asking the question.
No, it's quite a bit of traction moving. Don't underestimate us completely. But we're being the devil's advocate for the dumbasses that listen
Yeah,
to this.
yeah.
We're the dumbasses.
Right,
I was
okay.
trying to just
So
smother myself.
Can you ask my? Can you answer my? Can we get
What was
rid
the
of
question again? Sorry.
Have we overcomplicated? Can't we? Just
Yes,
have
we have.
One
Yes, we've-
Can't we have one draft move?
We've overcomplicated. I think I started, Donnie, by saying the object is to just pick the best players. Right, that's rule number one, which we've sort of lost sight of in all of this. Just make sure you pick the best player.
So
But then
you-
we've overcomplicated with a few things.
Okay,
Yeah.
so could we get rid of, or could the AFL get rid of that draft that? Well, no, it's not a draft. It's been a trade period. Could that trade period be incorporated into the national draft?
Well, they have the trade period first. I think the trade period is good
Why?
because it's too long. Okay.
And also, Merv, you're putting these subjective price or subjective views of a player's worth. Whereas if that player like Danaher went into the draft, he would then be picked accordingly. It might also pull him up by saying, hey, you might go to somewhere where they're not going to pay you as much money,
We don't wanna go, or
or
you're
you
not.
might go to a weaker club than what you. So it
There's all
might
that.
pull him into gear at Essendon and say, well, I'm better staying here.
Well, Don, you were president of the Players Association.
That's right.
Okay.
And you were a delegate for
I was a
Richmond.
delegate of Richmond, so it was under your tutelage.
Yes.
That you pulled me into line from my
No,
train.
I didn't.
Well, I trained at the wrong club, so
Yes, but that was because of the dope.
then, you took me under your wing.
Right.
That's what I thought. I think you were grooming me to be the next president.
You were the clerk
Anyway,
at the
my-
PO's office. at
Anyway,
that
my
stage.
point being, if you're the president of the Players Association
Yes.
now, you'd be going hell for leather to look after the players. So they want to be traded. They want their options available. So if they're not happy at Club A, they may want to go to Club B.
They want to go
may
into the meat market.
Yeah, they may. Jeremy
Cameron?
may want to go to Geelong to win a flag.
But he's still got the option, in my suggestion, of incorporating that in the national draft. You can go wherever you like, but you go into the national draft.
Well, you're probably not going to get to Geelong.
Well, that's
Someone
your,
else will
that's
come
your
along.
problem. We've given you the opportunity.
Yeah, or even GWS might redraft you. Like, say GWS got the pick before Geelong, they say, right, we'll call out Jeremy Cameron, so you're back where you started.
Yes, but that's stupid by GWS because you know he doesn't want to play for you, don't
Well, and
you?
so all the other clubs would be the same. Like, he might say, no, I don't want to go to Essendon. I want to go to Geelong.
So
How are we going now? Is any?
Yeah, it's complicated.
So
okay.
I've got a thumbs up.
Yeah, no,
so
you're
just
right.
for the sake of identifying with some that, if I, not speaking about me, but just if I was a great footballer and was coming out of school or a country competition, and I have scouts come around and they say, oh, we've seen this boy that plays, this is how it happened with me at Geelong. Bob Davis came out and he said, oh, there's a chap out at the Grammar, me playing, and he said, we'd like you to come into, I know this is 50 years ago, but we'd like you to come into Geelong and play. Now that can't happen. Now that automatically I get put into a...
Draft pool.
Yes, and someone says, oh, this boy is very good, and
Yes.
then I have no choice and decision where I go
Well-
or what my future is.
Yeah, well, no, you don't really.
No.
But you could say we would interview you.
Yes,
You're a champion coming out of Geelong Grammar.
yes, well, yeah, I'm just for the sake of this.
Yeah, for the sake of the argument.
Yes.
So we would come down to Geelong and meet Mum and Dad, sit around the kitchen table,
Yeah,
and we'd say we'd love to draft you.
yes,
We'd love to draft you with our first pick. And you and Mum and Dad might say, well, we don't really want to go to Essendon.
yes,
Yeah,
You might say that, so you might let us know.
yeah,
But then, so we got the choice. Well, we could say, oh, well, the bloke doesn't want to be with us.
right.
We'll look for someone
and
else
you'd
who
only
really
be
wants to.
speaking to me because you have first choice at me.
Well, no, it depends where we are.
No, you're open slather.
You're
So-
open slather.
Okay.
You're open slather.
So
it comes
another
to,
18 clubs could come
Yes.
and meet my parents.
Yes.
they all would,
Yes,
because you're a champ. So they'd be all sitting around the table.
hypothetically.
And you might say, no, I don't want to go to Essendon because of, let's say, because of the supplement
whatever.
saga.
Yep.
Something
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
So,
Because Merv Kane's there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So, so we'd look around. Oh, do we really want this bloke? And we might say yes or no. We might say no. Regardless of that, we think you're the best player. Bang, you're coming, and we'll show you that we are a great club. Mm-hmm. Or we might say, oh well, if that's his attitude, we'll pick someone else. But that's sort of the only,
I see.
let's call it, rights you've got. Otherwise, you're in the pool, and you take what you're given. You may be off to Freo, bad luck, and have a great career at Freo, which would be good. Which could end up being very good.
Move, just getting back to the thing where we both played in the under-19s, I noticed in a period of 6 months how an under-19 player can go off, chaps that I played with who played well, second year, no good at all. The maturity rate. Do you think that the age of the draft should be lifted? And could I also ask you, somebody told me last night that they have a college system in America where, say, an 18-year-old goes to college, which is similar to university, plays in this college football, so they're drafted as 21-year-olds, I think it is. Do you think that would be a better system? Because you're really leaving a lot to chance, aren't you, as to the development of a player at 18?
Yeah, good question, Donnie. Take a bow.
I'm trying to ask a sensible one.
No, it was a sensible question, yeah. Personally, I think about the AFL and what's good for us. I might have a blockage here, but I don't go overseas to study what happens over there. I think 18 is the best age to draft.
Why?
Because I think an AFL club for a bloke like you or Sam or me at 18 is the best place for a young boy. An AFL club is the best place for an 18-year-old boy to be.
How old were you when you played your first game?
18 years and 303 days,
Well, I was
something like
19.
that.
What were you, John?
17.
Well,
How many days,
Really?
Sam?
Yeah, right at the end, I was.
Coming nearly 18.
Yes.
well, could we be
Incredible.
Could we be the exception to the rule?
No, I don't think so. No, I think the vast majority, let's call us successful players, debut between, it's not possible at 17 these days, Sam, but we debut in that 18 to 19-year-old bracket. I think you would find that. But I'm glad you asked this question, Donnie, because I actually believe that 18 is the best age to draft. But I think we should have a rule where they're at the AFL club, but they don't play AFL footy until they turn 19. So
Why is that? Why?
Take it back. But they don't play AFL footy until the 1st of July. So they've had 6 to 9 months to get ready. We've had 6 to 9 months to prepare them as an AFL club. And then come 1st of July, they're a little bit more prepared. Now, you take a kid like Matty Rowell,
Right, the kid
Rowell.
of Brisbane.
Gold Coast,
Gold Coast, I mean. Sorry.
played 3 games,
Best on ground.
best on ground, bang, injured, out for the year.
Yes.
So my point being, these kids just need a little bit more development, and
But that just could have been.
it could have been,
Yeah.
it could have been. But I still think when I've just looked at it overall, I think it's best for the player to be in the system at an AFL club. He's got a pre-season under his belt. He's playing VFL, or he's playing in the Waffle, or he's playing in the Sandful. With men, vast majority come from junior competitions. So he's in the system. He's at the AFL club. He's been there for 6 months. 1st of July, bang, he's ready to go. How do you like that, Donnie? Just on face
Okay,
value.
can I go a bit further? The under-18 competition in Western Australia, Perth, and maybe up in Queensland, they have under-19s or an underage seconds.
Under 18.
Yeah, under-18 seconds first, all connected to the one club. So there's a pathway where you can take a player up, bring him back, drop him down. Here in Victoria, we have this elite competition. Now, I know the elite competition, you could use top-up players from the when it first started into the seconds. Do you think a better system could be done here in Victoria? Because they're boys playing against boys. If you were to try them out in a seconds team, you would get a better opinion. They'd toughen up a little bit as well.
Cool, but I think that then compromises the draft, because at this stage, if you're playing in the under-18 competition in Melbourne, then no one's got access to you. So in other words, he's not eligible to go to play an Essendon's VFL team, because then we might have the upper hand against other clubs in terms of what we see, where we can play this guy, position, et cetera, et cetera. So I think to keep the draft pure and not open.
But why do they do it in Western Australia and South Australia?
They're not at an AFL club. They're playing at South Fremantle or Subiaco.
Okay, got it.
How's that sounding, Sam?
Yeah,
Sammy?
Yeah,
You're still a little bit up in the air?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm-
a bit up.
Yeah.
Now
Do
we've
better
had-
players come out of the interstate?
Starting to lose my confidence.
No, don't. Do better players come out of, or better prepared players come out of South Australia and Western Australia because of that system?
Look, I think, if a kid's playing seniors for West Adelaide,
Yep.
yes, they're better prepared. Yeah, or a kid's playing.
So is this why Western? A lot of blokes I hear about, look at Western Australia, they seem to be homegrown for West Coast Eagles. Is that because of this? They got real close tabs on them.
It would be a bit of that. Yep, would be a bit of close tabs. But they have there's no preferential, rights to them whatsoever.
I
Everyone's got
understand.
the opportunity to see them play senior footy.
Yep.
Sometimes the West Coast or Freo will decide, well, we know this kid's not the next real best player in the draft. He may be the couple of picks later in the ranking, but we'll take him because he's a homegrown product. I think they do that, and that's a good decision by them.
You'll love this question.
Yes, Sam?
Are you still currently involved in being a recruiting officer for a side?
No, Sam, I'm out.
No, so a couple of years you've been
Yeah, I left in 2018.
You're not consulting on
No,
a
I'm not consulting.
part-time basis.
No, well, I went back to Essendon last year, or this year, part-time.
Yes.
But I only lasted a month and got the sack because of
COVID.
So Don, we've had I don't know if you want to ask any more questions about the draft. I could ask 100 questions, and I'm sorry, I'm just incapable of understanding how it works.
Well, I understand it a lot better now.
Well, that's good. So Mervyn.
That's what I mean, Sam. I'm losing my confidence.
No, never lose confidence out speaking to me, because it's me, it's not you.
Oh.
So Mervyn, we've had a fairly frivolous conversation about all this.
John.
No, I haven't.
Well, we've been. We have had
I think it's been a good way to conduct the conversation.
Yes. The rest of your recent past is well documented. Have you found that your involvement in the recruiting and being an author and in the AFL scene, has it been cathartic to getting over your personal tragedy? And Mervyn, we didn't get you in to speak about this, and if you do not wish to canvass any of this, that's fine. I was just wondering, you seem to be, I've never met you before, but you seem to be a remarkable person that's overcome a tragedy that none of us could imagine, and unless you've personally experienced it, and I think it's extraordinary that you're here chatting about this when we know what has happened in recent times to you. I don't know if that's a question or a statement.
Well, I think it's probably like all of us, and I was watching a TV show last night, Australian Story.
Yes.
About a guy, and he was introduced by the rugby league captain, which I can't remember his name, but obviously a famous Australian.
Yep.
But a man, his friend who contracted a terrible disease, a father,
yes,
young husband, ended up with amputation of both arms, both legs, because he had this terrible illness. And as his wife said, and he's still alive, and he's happy, and he's happy to be alive, but they're all just getting on with life. So I think that's what I'm.
So that's the only choice you have.
I think so. Yes, that's what the wife said. It's the choice we got. It's the only choice you got.
Well, yeah, I know, but unless you have a resolve, an enormous resolve like you obviously have, and I don't know where you draw that from. Maybe the discipline of playing AFL football, VFL football, and the training and the pressure of it all. Some people can not push on, obviously, and this is why as I say, I've never met you before. But I know what you've been through, and you lost your daughter and your wife in a period of weeks, and I just can't understand how... well, I suppose I can understand, but it is a remarkable story when you think of it, Mervyn.
Well, I think I can definitely trace my life back to my childhood, living on the farm, and being brought up with a family of 8 kids, and mum and dad on the farm, and... you had to keep yourself busy or entertain yourself and all that, and sport was huge at that time. And then I came to Richmond at 17. Alan Schwab arrived on the main street of Witcherproof, avoiding the trains, of course.
Yes, of
Sammy.
course. Yep.
And we met
no
up.
Draft then, it was just zones.
No, it was zoned. So they arrived one Sunday morning after Mass, and I can still remember Alan Schwab's words, although I'm sure they were just words to him, but he said, "Come with us, son, and we'll turn you into a champion."
Which you did.
Well, I don't think I would. I wouldn't say that, but it's sort of.
Well, I would,
still
because you're in the team.
It resonates with me about what this bloke said.
Yes.
It made me feel good, important, and it's 50 years ago, and I can remember it as if it was yesterday. So then I get down to Melbourne, and just for example, which you don't know what's happening at the time, but you say my first coach was Tommy Hafey, my first captain was Royce Hart, who was a champion, and Roger Dean, and I lived at the Sheedy household. So when you look back in history, you think, well, that was my initiation into the Richmond Football Club. And then you've got people like Francis Burke and Neil Baum, these sort of characters who I'm learning from, from really day one. So, and I've got a big family, a big network of people that have look after me and care for me, and that's how I think
That's how you
I think so.
coped with all that?
I think so, yeah.
Did you meet your wife, Emily? Did you meet her?
Emily was my daughter.
Kay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you meet Kay down through your connections at Richmond?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Correct. So, that was a blind date, Sammy.
A bit like Kevin Bartlett, who
with Denise.
he sat next to Denise was
Bill
going
Barrett.
out with Bill Barrett. And
That's right.
Kevin said, while Bill was watching the football, he was watching Denise, and he ended up with her. Okay.
No, I wasn't at the footy, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good, and we had 3 great kids. Fantastic. I've got a new first granddaughter,
Fantastic.
Trixie.
Trixie.
Beautiful.
Is Trixie.
Yeah, Trixie.
What a great name.
Beautiful name.
Now, Merv.
I'll show you a photo later, Sam.
Yeah. Merv, you wrote
I'd
a
like
book.
to see that,
Trixie,
Merv.
yeah, she's beautiful.
You wrote a book, Merv, on a fellow you coached in Perth, and you had another book in the pipeline, which I thought would be a terrific book, an analysis of coaches in AFL. Are you still going ahead with that project, or is that on the back burner?
That's a
at the
back
moment?
burner, I think, Donnie.
Are
At
you
the
gonna-
moment, yeah.
Okay, are you going to write another book?
I am writing another book. I'm in the process of writing another book.
What is that about?
Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody.
Yes.
Really?
Would you like to write a book on the
No,
experience?
hang on. Woo. You recruited Anthony Tipperwoody?
Well, yes, yep. But-
You personally recruited him?
Well, we called him out as a rookie. So when you say that, it's always in my footy world, it's we, Donnie.
No.
In your world, it might be I.
Yeah, no. You found him and you recruited him. Let's just...
All right. Well,
Okay.
No. Well, I'll tell you, it's only a quick story, but Tipper, shall we call him that?
Yeah.
He came from Tiwi Island, and he came down to the Gippsland area when he was 16 years of age. And he was brought down, let's call, by his white mum. He's had his biological mother up in Tiwi Island, but he wanted to come to Victoria to get an education.
He wanted to, or his parents?
He wanted to.
Really?
He wanted to. Now, English was his second language at that time. So this kid at 16 years of age just said, righto, let's go. His mum, Jane, said, okay, you're coming with me. So down they go to Gippsland. They live at Longwarry. And he plays for the Gippsland Power for 3 years. As a 17-year-old, as an 18-year-old. And then
a
as
mature age.
as a 19-year-old, mature age. Then I'd drive down and I'm looking at a photo of the great Sam and the great Tipper. Here they are on his phone. That's a beautiful
He
photo.
was in at the footy show.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
We had a long chat to him.
Yeah. And so I drove down to Longwarry on the 3rd of January, it was, 2013, and invited him into our VFL program. It was a long shot. And I thought...
I was just going to say, if he's a mature age...
Yep. So he's 19 by this stage.
He's 19.
Or turning 20.
You've gone out on a bit of a limb here because nobody else has looked at him as a mature age.
Well, I don't know about nobody else. But
Well, okay, keep going. You saw something.
So saw something. So our family holiday place was Cape Patterson, which was down near Inverloch. Longwarry's that part of the world. So I decided I'm going to do it. So off I go, meet Mum, meet Tipper. I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest.
Wasn't going to happen?
It was going to, and my invitation was to come play in our VFL team, which there's no guarantees there. There's no money, so they're going to pull up stumps at Longwarry, come to Melbourne, find a house, find a job, find a this, that, and the other.
The whole family?
Well, there's Jane, Mum, and she had 5 kids, but they're all grown up. So it's really Jane and Tipper are going to pull up stumps and come to Melbourne. So they did that to play in the VFL, which was for 3 years. 3 years, another
He's played
3
3
year,
years in the...
another 3 year apprenticeship.
Really?
This kid.
So he's debuted at 23.
Yeah. And now, and then it got to the point in his 3rd year we said, we just got to give this kid a go. Because he was cutting around opposition, the usual stuff.
So he showed a lot of talent.
Showed talent, but he was always sort of unfit and couldn't run a lap of the ground.
What, not dedicated?
Well, it's just a matter of training him up, teaching him what to do. You know,
And of
I think
course,
that was it.
That's the parallel story of that film in America called Blindside, isn't it? Where the white woman
Yes.
took over this life of this huge NFL player,
Yeah.
and he became
Champion,
absolute star.
Okay.
Star.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't follow the
Have you
American
seen
footy, but-
Blindside? Well, it's
No, I haven't.
exactly
I bet
the
I'll check
parallel
it out.
story
You wanna-
of
it's
Tippett.
Can I get it
really
on
good-
Netflix?
Yes, you can. It's a very, very good film.
It's
Sandra
exactly the
Bullock.
parallel story of
Well, there you go.
of Tip and Woody.
No, it's a good story. You want
Well,
to watch it.
and you know what? This kid now, he's played the most number of consecutive games of any Essendon player.
How many?
Really?
Yes.
How many?
Sitting now at 103
Really?
consecutive of any Essendon player in the AFL era.
That's extraordinary.
Really?
That is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Now, you said you're writing a book. Don said you said might be on Tip and Woody. You wouldn't like to write a book on the experience of coming into You Cannot Be Serious, sitting here listening to Don and I interview, would you? That'd be a good seller, I reckon.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I can sit over there on the couch and
Yeah,
come
just-
through all your next. What do you have a weekly?
Yeah, we do it weekly.
Righto.
Mervyn.
But I've got it half written already though.
Mervyn, there is a lot of questions I could ask. There's no other question I could ask you about the draft. I have not understood, and I'm happy to say this, Don.
Well, I have understood,
then
and
there you
I do
are.
understand.
Hang on, let me check my notes while you're talking amongst
Yeah,
yourself.
go on.
No,
What notes have you got?
I just took notes I wanted to mention.
Okay, go.
No, you talk
Oh,
while I
good,
check.
no.
No, we got
Mate,
nothing to talk
this is about you,
We
mate.
never have a conversation.
Go ahead,
Now
Why
I'm
are you
all
taking your
flustered.
glasses off to read?
Yeah, I know.
because he's short-sighted, not long-sighted.
Anyway, do you
or
know
vice
the
versa.
AFL
Yes, go on.
have a point system?
For what?
Sorry, is that on the right
What,
one?
a goal?
They have a point system. For,
Goal 6 points?
Yeah, no, it's called a draft value index.
What?
Did you ask me, did I know that?
Yes,
What do you reckon?
draft value index. So every draft number, draft number one,
Yep.
Yeah.
he's got a value of 3,000
Oh,
points.
that came up this year, and
Oh
I didn't
my
understand
God.
all
Oh,
this.
no.
He's got,
Yes.
and draft number two, he's got a value of
I s-
2,500 points. These are
I'm
approximate.
glad you brought this up.
And then draft number seven, he's got a value of 9 points or something.
Right.
Did you know that?
No, I did. I knew about it, but
not
didn't know how it
serious, are you?
worked. Go on.
Did I know
Oh, you
that?
want me to tell you how it
Yeah,
works?
oh, well,
Yes.
please.
Now,
Please.
we won't interrupt
No,
you.
that's all I just wanted to say. Did you know that?
No, tell us
I
how it
didn't want-
works.
I didn't want you to. I didn't expect you to ask me how to explain it.
So you don't know either.
No, of course he does. He's only pulling our leg.
No, he
Don.
doesn't. He's not pulling our legs.
Now, essentially, well,
I'll ask you a question.
No, hang on. I want to.
how long have we got, Sam?
Just keep going. This is interesting.
No, we're not too long. Keep
going. This is
because if I'm confused by it, you can bet the people who listen to this are confused by it. But go ahead.
By the draft value index.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
I don't think I can. Well, where do I start with that one?
Just have a crack at it, and we'll
I'll
tell
have
you
a
if
crack
it's
at
making
it. Rightio,
sense.
the draft value index. So every draft number's got a value.
Yeah.
Now, did you know the Bulldogs are going to get
No,
the
I don't know what the question
the
is. but no.
Bulldogs are going to get the best player in the draft this year
Why?
because they have a player who's been in their next generation academy.
Hang on.
Oh no!
Oh, jeez.
Oh no! Please, Merv. No, seriously.
They-
no.
Hang on, Mervyn.
This
What is
kid
this?
is in their next generation academy,
Well,
Sam.
hang on. So you can get.
Seriously.
There's an academy where connected to the club.
Correct. Every club
Oh, this is a.
has a zone. Now, these days, they have a zone. Like, for example,
A
I'll go to
zone.
Essendon, a zone. So we've got Northern Territory or parts of Northern Territory and Tiwi Island and parts of the northwest corridor of Melbourne. Now, our job at Essendon is to go out and find new talent because we want to grow the pool. Now, new talent, it might be kids from a multicultural background, that haven't played the game.
Yes.
They might play basketball or baseball or whatever, but we go out there and we spot these kids running around the basketball court.
Yes.
And so we say, oh, this kid might be able to play football. So we sign him up and then we bring him into Essendon and we develop him as a 16-year-old. And so that's growing the pool.
Right.
But unfortunately, Bulldogs have got the best player in the draft, allegedly.
Yes.
But this is where it sort of got a little bit off track because this kid himself has been brought up playing Auskick. So he's already been in the system.
Right. But he went off and played another sport.
Well, he was always playing footy and another sport.
No, don't just
But because he qualifies as an Indigenous player or a multicultural type player,
yes,
then he comes in under this other system.
So they've rorted the system.
It's not they've rorted the system, though the system was invented. So
But they've taken advantage of the system.
Yeah, and a lot of clubs are taking advantage of the system by finding a kid who can actually play the game, but because he's either Indigenous or multicultural.
Oh, that's a joke.
And so, I mean, they're scaling it back, but because of the fact that I think the final straw is this kid that the Bulldogs will draft. I assume they're going to draft him. Is the best player, regarded as best player in the draft. But the Bulldogs, who finished in the 8, I think, did they not? Yep. So they're going to get the best, technically get the best kid in the draft at this day. Is that making sense?
No.
Yes, it is.
Mervyn, I'm making an executive decision here.
Yes, Sammy?
We're stopping this now.
No, we're not.
No, just a minute, Mervyn.
Oh.
You asked me a question. Did I know what Next Generation Academy was? Let me counter with a question. Do you know who is the biggest seller of toys in the world? This is not a trick question. This is just...
well...
The biggest seller of toys in the world is who?
I was going to say I've narrowed it down to 2.
Yes.
Either Father Christmas or Toys R Us.
Very good answers.
Yeah.
But they're wrong.
Right.
I'll give you just think of someone else a little bit outside the square.
Walt Disney.
Another very good answer, Donald. No. Will I tell you now?
Yes.
McDonald's.
I got you.
They're the biggest seller of toys in the world.
So what's that got to do with what we're talking about?
Well, I was just countering with a question.
Yeah.
That shows you how much I know about the draft. And
Yeah, but
Merv
hang on.
knows-
I didn't know that.
That's how much Merv knows about toys.
Yeah.
Now, Mervyn.
Could I just ask Merv one question? Merv, that academy thing, isn't that a restriction of trade? Couldn't that be taken to the court and just said that's a restriction of trade?
Well, it's like the draft. You could argue it's restriction of trade. Like, you come from Blackburn, Sammy's from Geelong. You're in the draft pool. Discrimination, whatever. But
So Merv,
Is that
that
hang
right?
on? Are there any other little things like that we didn't know about? Oh, that's
can
a
I
ripper.
take my glasses off again?
Yeah, go.
Keep talking.
Don.
Oh, Rod's go. Because we've got an interesting subject, we're going for an hour.
No, Don.
What?
It's a very interesting subject. Maybe we could get Mervyn back again.
Well, I'm going to write the book.
Yeah. So what I've got from this is, and Don, you'll say you're dumb, and I'm happy to say I am on this, Don. Mervyn has mentioned Next Generation Academy, the trade period, the draft period, the pre-draft, the free agency, the restricted free agency, and the multicultural Indigenous Academy. So there's 8 different things that people have to wrap their head around when they're trying to work out, will we get Mervyn Keane to play for us or will we not? How could you possibly work it out? How can the layman or laywoman, what's the difference between...
What about the...
Well, just pick the best player, Sammy.
Pardon?
Oh.
That's right, pick the best player.
Yeah, I know, but then you've got all these considerations.
Do preachers do more than laymen? No. So how would you possibly work all that out, Mervyn?
Well, it all comes to, it comes to a head in whatever the date is, 9th of December. Bang.
That's it.
Decisions
and then it's all
are made.
done and dusted for 2/21, 2020.
Hey, Merv, you're out of it now, so you're not sitting on the fence. Do you reckon there can be a better system than this, mate?
Well, they're scaling back the Next Generation Academy, Sam, so you can put an arrow pointing down on your little notes there, I think. They're scaling that back.
Next Generation Academy they're scaling
being
that
scaled back. So in next year, 2021, they'll scale it back, and then 2022 they're scaling it back again because I think they've realised
doesn't work.
A little bit of an imbalance. Like, for example, the best player shouldn't go to the Bulldogs this year. Would that'd be a fair comment?
God.
The best player should go to Adelaide
Yes.
because they're the worst club this year.
Yes.
All right. Well, now Mervyn Keane.
God.
All right, Don. It's been.
Yeah, it's terrific. I've learned a lot.
Yeah. No, I have.
No, serious move. It's been
So
terrific.
have I. I've learned. I tell you, I've learned that I know nothing about any of it.
And how?
What about our listeners, though?
Well,
Your
I
listeners, sorry.
I hope they're a little clearer.
Yeah, no, they're going to decipher this and they're going to say, we'll get plenty of messages and they'll say, you are as dumb as you look. Me.
Who, you or me?
Me. Would I be saying he's as dumb as he looks? Would I, Don?
You would.
I be saying
Behind
that to...
his back you would.
No, on the contrary, Don, this is how I get into trouble. I say it to the people's faces. I don't
no,
say
you
it
don't.
by...
No, you're very devious.
No, I
And two-faced.
It's like Mork and Mindy. Mervyn,
Sam,
for a man who has...
I've got one question for you too.
Go ahead.
No,
Have you got anything else written down there?
no, no. Well, I have.
Well,
but
hurry
no,
up. Get
no,
on with it.
no, that's it. No,
get on with
No,
it.
there's
give us
nothing.
the question.
No, why the gloves, Sammy, or the whatever? What's that?
Well,
park
I know
glove?
this
What do
is
you-
not a visual medium we're on, Merv, but I'm wearing fingerless gloves. I hate to touch the public.
Oh,
No, it's not.
yeah.
No, it's mate. It's just for hygiene's sake.
It's not. It's aches and pains. Have you got?
You're
any
riding
aches
your bike.
What's that?
You're riding the bike.
No, I'm not.
No,
No, I'm not riding a bike. Mervyn,
hygiene. Right.
hygiene.
that's good.
Yes. Hi, how are you, Mervyn? Thank you very much for coming in. I actually
for having
have
me, Sammy.
really enjoyed speaking to you, and I've obviously played against you for a
Did you
number
know
of
him?
years.
He didn't know his teammates.
I know, that doesn't matter.
He never knew his teammates.
I know that.
We
I
go
know.
out with,
let alone opponents.
Sammy,
the
go.
mixtures, come back again. Daddy Cool. We go out with Daddy Cool when this segment's finished. You liked the introduction, Maxine
Loved it,
Nightingale.
Maxine, yeah.
Well, have a listen to this. This is
I
what
got the album.
This is
What?
Maxine, yeah.
You've got no taste.
This is what-
that just goes,
This is
"Oh,
what
jeez,
Mervyn.
man."
This is what we go out with, and you can talk over it. So